Hello, as a follow-on to our previous governance podcast series, I wanted to show you the result of some of those conversations we had with regards to a process that will help to manage site creation. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what we've created. For those of you unfamiliar with K2, what you're seeing in front of you is the process designer surfaced inside of Visual Studio that allows us to create our different processes. In this particular case, you'll see we have developed a site creation process to help you manage your site creations inside of SharePoint. Now, we discussed this at length in some of the podcasts that you have heard on governance. In this case, we start off with an user submitting a form requesting a site. It also goes to their manager for the initial approval just to make sure as a sanity check. They can reject it, which will email them a notification. They can go to IT review just for a sanity check, or they can approve it, which the next step will be a training validation, which is just a lookup on a list inside of SharePoint to see if they've gone through the training. We want to make sure that they're appropriately trained before they're given ownership of a site. If they are not on that list, it rejects it. If they are on that list, it goes to the next step and creates that site based on the information in the form. It assigns them the owner right and makes sure that the other appropriate permissions are assigned to that site once created. Now that you've seen it in the Process Designer, let's go ahead and see this process in action inside of SharePoint. First, the SharePoint list, which is just a listing of those who have been approved for admin access. K2 will use this as a lookup during the process to see if that person is approved or not. So let's take a process and kick it off with our InfoPath form here. Put in the requester's name. Now, with some more work in InfoPath, we could have this automatically inserted, etc. We'll type in the purpose of the site to give the approver some more information, as well as choose whether or not this site is to be permanent or temporary, and we can use that in an extension of the process to loop back at a later point in time and archive the site, etc. We'll give the site a title and a description that will be used during the creation of the process and submit this back to the workflow. Once we've done that, we need to now open the browser of the approver of this process and go to a task list associated with that so that this person can take a decision on whether or not to approve that or not. As we see the task item there, they can go ahead and open that task item. And at this point, they will actually see the information that was entered, and they can take a look at it and make a decision on whether or not it should be approved or not. In this case, they'll approve it, and then they can add some notes or flag it for IT review, and we'll go ahead and submit that back. At this point, K2 will go to that list that I showed you a moment ago and see if the requester has been trained. And if they were trained, it will create that site. And if it did create that site, we should actually see that in our all site content here. So we'll go ahead and make sure it's there. Scroll down. And there it is, K2 training. Just to prove to you that it's there, we'll go ahead and open it. And there we go. Well, as you heard through the podcast, you can see how important training is and important that you apply some governance to your site creation so that they can go hand in hand and be able to get some control on that. Hopefully, with some process automation and with a little luck, some K2 in there, you can see the value that this can add, and hopefully this added some more information to your repertoire, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you.